Hey family, it's Tasha Homestead. It's Tasha Homestead. It's Mama Bear Homestead, Tasha. Hey, so today I just wanted to address something that has been coming to my attention through emails and through my other channel a little bit. You know, I have my other channel that I started with, which is my immediate passion, which is, you know, emergency preparedness, being ready, getting the things that you need to be ready for different things that might come your way. And however, in the back of my mind, my gut feeling, my overall feeling and goal in life was to, you know, eventually build up a life that is off the grid, that's much simpler, that's providing for yourselves, providing your own food, raising your own animals, raising your children in an environment that is not so much wrapped around the technology and the social aspect in regards to social media and just all of that, right? Slow it down a little bit and get back to the basics of what we've been, you know, learning. Not learning, but where we came from, right? The type of family we came from, the goals and the morals of hardcore work and grit and building something with your own two hands. And being just overall really self-sufficient, learning how to make things yourself, whether that's medicine, whether that's soap, like whatever it is, not just running to, you know, Amazon to get the thing that you want. You need a cleaner, you need something, and we just run to Amazon. I am guilty of that. My family does that like crazy, okay? I see something I like and I go to Amazon. But I strive for a life that is a homesteading life, okay? A future of self-reliance, a future where I'm not running to that stuff. I'm making that stuff. I'm teaching myself how to make that stuff so that I have it for myself, right? And so I want to address something that I've been seeing, and that's the dialogue or the question of like, can you be a prepper, right? That name, even though we don't really need names, but can you be a prepper and can you be a homesteader type / farmer? And then the ridicule of like, well, you're not a homesteader. You don't have any land. You're living in, you have neighbors. You live in a suburban-ish type neighborhood, you know. Why are you calling yourself a homesteader? That's not what homesteaders look like, right? And I really, really want us as a people to get away from that, because it should be all of us reaching and teaching and teaching each other how to do things, how to survive, right? How to make things, do the things, right? Should be that community that's maybe started with homesteading, started with trying to live off grid or a more self-sufficient life, teaching those that have that creativity and that mindset of things don't look right and maybe are a little bit stronger on the preparedness side and emergency preparedness side. And I get that the two have stigmas to them, right? Like, this is the crazy tinfoil hats over here, and here's just these pig-loving farmers over here, right? And that this has to be rule and this can be both, but really it's probably some kind of crazy outlook out in the mountains away from the government. And I would like to venture that we don't need any names here. We can all thrive together because both have to still be done, right? If I'm striving to be self-sufficient and not have to worry on the grocery shelves, for example, that's absolutely the goal, right? To get the food, grow the food, the ultimate goal is grow the food and then preserve it and make it shelf stable, right? And right now, preparedness is something that has to happen. We have grocery stores, we have that food provided for us. And so I think it's important to do both. You know, people who keep themselves in a box and say, well, I'm absolutely not going to buy anything from the store because we're going to be self-sufficient. Now, it's one thing if you're at the end of your goals and you're really trying to like turn it off. That's one thing. But to say like, oh, you're not a homesteader because you're stacking cans of beans. Like that's not no type of farmer I know that stacks canned food, right? And I would say we stop being silly, first of all. I mean, you know, you have to have that mentality of it's survival, however you can get there. And both are needed, right? All of the skills across the board are needed, right? Folks that stack things, you know, they need to also learn the ways of preservation and as a whole, how to then turn those favorites, those things that you've been stacking over the years. What happens when there's no more stores and you can't get those things. Yes, those will take you for months, maybe years, maybe decades for some of you. But if you don't have the skill set behind it, eventually that runs out, right? And so I think it's important that we give credit to the preppers, the people who stack stuff, who think about all the things and think about the day that stuff is not there. Because I know homesteaders as well that don't think like that at all. And homesteaders who are going to fail because they're not quite in the mindset needed for full survival. They absolutely know how to raise some chickens, raise some animals, maybe butcher them, maybe do some things, grow food, and all of that is absolutely fantastic and will make the average homesteader survive in the sense that they're not hurting right away because it's everyday life for them. It's the same. But again, as things run out, they are going to hit that wall where maybe they don't have any more seeds, or they didn't teach themselves a certain skill that they needed, or they didn't figure out making sure they had the right animals to be able to continue to produce, or they didn't have the off-grid mentality of, okay, how do we take this homestead off grid when there's no power grid, we get hit by EMP, whatever the case may be, and having that mindset of, how have I prepared our farm or our homestead for that day, right? I think that those emergency preparedness is easily brought over to a homesteading mindset or off-grid mindset. I've always said that I wanted to move somewhere that was self-reliant in the ways of had certain resources, had wood already there for fire, so having the wood resource, having water resource, right? Having multiple ways of getting water on the property. And then it being on grid though, right? Having it's into the power grid, but us building it up to be self-sufficient, us building up those animals, building up the crops and the plants and growing the things and making medicine and learning how to do the things and make the things that we buy every day from Amazon, learning how to do that, right? And then building it for off grid, meaning it's on grid, but building it up so that when the day it's off grid, whether that's short term or long term, that homestead, that family, we're ready to go in that aspect. So I would say if you're watching this, all I'm trying to do is, it's a little bit of a venting, but I'm trying to, open your eyes, right? There's something to be said, and there's a strength there within preppers, right? There's a strength there within homesteaders, folks that call them homesteaders, folks that call them simplest and, off grid, completely off grid. It doesn't really matter where in that aspect of realm you're in. We're all the same. We have the same mentality that it is you're for yourself. You have to teach yourself and your family these things to be able to survive. It's a survival instinct is all it is, right? And I think that the two can mold together beautifully. And I've just seen these comments and been getting some emails and getting some stuff with concern, and it's like all of it's the same, right? Preppers want to know about self-sufficiency and homesteading stuff. Homesteaders need to know and want to know about emergency preparedness and stuff. What stuff should they be stockpiling, right? Because everybody needs to be ready for what's going to come down the road, okay? And it's not going to be a one all fit all, like, oh, you're going to make it because you're a farmer. You're going to make it, right? Or you're going to make it because you're a homesteader. Or you're going to make it because you're that crazy prepper that stacked everything, right? I think that everybody has opinions, as you should, right? But I think we should do more of thinking, what can we learn from that other type of person? Because to me, we're all the same, right? We all have the same mentality, and we could be amazing if we just locked in together. And I think that's why you have a lot of people too that progress towards, maybe they start with prepping and then they progress towards, oh, we want to get land and we want to start doing stuff for ourselves. Whether it's just in your backyard like we're doing and you're like, you can do it, or if it's like you want to go buy 40 acres one day, right? It doesn't really matter, okay? What matters is that you have the mindset that you want to be successful in building generational wealth that has to do with preparedness overall, homesteading and doing for yourself, right? And I think that alone is beautiful. So I'm excited. You know, I get excited about the topics that I talk about on Mama Bear Prepping, more about current events and what are people doing and what's happening in the world and how does that affect the things that I'm buying and the things that I'm doing and the mentality of the things that I want to learn how to do. And then I'm transitioning into, because I'm trying to build something up. You know, I'm trying to build up my homestead. I'm trying to build up my family. And we're doing that with trying to do things for ourselves, right? And it's a step-by-step, you know, it takes day by day, right? You know, get the chickens, getting other animals, raising them, learning how to grow food, then increasing that food production amount, right? And just growing and learning and building upon that, okay? And then moving forward with other stuff, grid down, how to prepare for that. I mean, we're ready for that in a lot of ways. But when we talk about skills and long-term and life without power completely ever again, you know, what does that look like? And how does that affect the everyday things that we're doing now and on this homestead and building it up? And what do we need? And how do we produce our own power and that type of stuff? So, let me know, you know, I know this was more of just a venting and a discussion, right? But let me know in the comments your thoughts on preparedness and homesteading and farmers and like all the different boxes that folks try to put people in, and your thoughts on all of it coming together. And how beautiful it can be, right? So I'm excited to see the comments and see what you guys have to say about that. And, obviously, it's a holiday weekend. I'll probably see you guys still on Friday. I'll bring you a video. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but we'll see when Friday comes. But I'll see you on Friday. Take care. Bye.